Welcome to How Can I Keep From Singing? My name is Stuart Stotts. I am coming to you from rural Wisconsin, and I am delighted today to have as a guest Jane Sapp.
Someone pray for me. On their knees, yes. Someone sang for me from their soul. Someone marched for me. Marched on down. They didn't even know me. They didn't even know me. They didn't even know me.
Jane Sapp is a nationally admired cultural worker, musician, educator, folklorist, and activist whose approach to social transformation is rooted in the African American musical, cultural, spiritual, and human rights traditions. Through her singing, documenting local cultures and stories, songwriting, workshops, and other expressive work with diverse communities and youth, Jane actively engages people in creative cultural processes that help them understand and see not only the challenges they face, but their assets as well. Jane has many recordings and a book, Let's Make a Better World, Stories and Songs of Jane Sapp. She's sung all over the country and farther, and her influence reaches around the world. Jane, welcome to How Can I Keep From Singing?
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tell me a little bit about where this all began for you. I assume you're rooted in some sort of singing tradition. What was it like as a child or however you came to this work of singing together?
Well, I grew up in Augusta, Georgia. That's where I was born and raised. My family was a singing family. I grew up singing. My mother says that around the time I was 3 years old, I was trying to play the piano, but I was already singing because I have a sister that's 12. I should say I had. My sister just passed, but she was 12 years older than me, and she was always playing and singing. And then there was my other sister, my brother, my mother was a musician and choir director in the church. And so I grew up with all this singing around me, and people in the community sang. It was a singing community. We kids would sing together. You could hear people outside, working in the yard or, women in their kitchen. It was like I lived in this musical world. And of course, church was a very, very important part of, my childhood. And, it was church every Sunday all day, and it was church on Wednesday, church on Thursday, and all of that singing was a key part of church. I was a choir director. I started the junior choir at my church when I was 12 years old. And and I was playing for two junior choirs, one at my church and one at another church. And so my church was a singing church. We loved singing, loved talking about singing. My sister was the gospel choir director. So singing was all around me. And in terms of the power of singing, I felt that early on. I just knew that joy that comes when people sing together and the energy that comes with that, in knowing how it feels that when you are singing, you're in this very special place. And that when you finish singing, like my brother-in-law, who was, again, fantastic singer, he said he just felt like he could do anything after we all said, I could just, conquer the world. So it's that something about singing that gives you that kind of energy. I guess it comes from, because when you sing, you are fully committing your spirit and your energy. Yeah.
I think you're committing your spirit, but also your body.
Your body.
So
yes.
Your body is into that as well.
That's right.
So Jane, I'm curious. I'm assuming in church you were singing gospel music, spirituals, those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. What were you singing when you weren't singing music affiliated with the church?
As a kid, it was those ring songs, like Little Sidewalker sitting in a saucer, rise, Sally, rise, those kind of songs. So they were, and we sang for, it felt like hours we sang in the street. all of us kids. And, it was one song after the other. Little Sally Walker, Aunt Dinah's dead, or how she died. Now, don't ask me the origins of that song. It's just
Right. You've got this incredible foundation of singing
yeah.
when you're young. How does that then progress to the life that you began to lead as an adult in which music was so intertwined?
Well, then there was the civil rights movement and singing. So that singing tradition, I think that is also very powerful in the African American musical tradition, then was carried over into the civil rights movement. And I became very active then in, the struggle for social justice and also in the Black Power movement. I kept asking myself, what will be my contribution to the movement besides the protests, the marches? What else could I do? And I said, well, the only real talent I have is with music. Maybe there was something to that. And then I knew that my first love in music is group singing. I mean, that. So in 1969, I started a group called the African Ensemble at Miles College, where both my husband and I were teaching. Then I started writing songs sort of for the movement to speak to the moment. I think I sent you the song, We Are an African People. And so that's like one of the songs that came out of that. So all of the things that I was sort of, felt like we were as a people, where we were, where our spirit was, the questions that we were raising, the demands that we were making in terms of respecting dignity and right to live as full human beings. So I started just writing songs that spoke to that. Like I wrote the song called What Does It Mean to Be Free? Really asking the question that I feel like we ask. We want freedom, but what does that look like? What does that feel like? I guess the other thing about having a group at that time was that we had a way of sharing then what was going on and what we were thinking, what we were feeling, the questions, the issues, the hopes, the dreams, the visions people had at that time. And so the way to sort of express both change and protest was through music, but through group singing. I just find that a group singing, yes, one individual voice can be very powerful, but the power of a group has so much more force to it. And the thing about having a group then is that we're reaching more people. We're all changing. We're all being impacted by the music, the words, and by each other. We are making this community, and we are creating a space and a container that holds us together, and it becomes a place where we can, be ourselves, think about, think about the world, ask our questions, be with each other, find the strength that comes from each other. And I think that choruses for me and I think for people who participate in group singing, especially on a regular basis, that it's also a source of resilience.
I'm wondering now about your work as a song leader, a choir director. I know you have huge experience doing this and huge success. What are some of the things that you bring to mind when you're leading a group in singing in order to make it successful?
One of the things I do when I'm working with a group is to make sure that the group knows each other, to share stories, so that we begin to see how we're connected and that we come to not see ourselves just as singing voices or singers, but as friends and people who love and care for each other. I think it strengthens the group singing because the stronger the connection between the people in the group, the stronger the singing. When people have shared their stories, understand each other's journey and where their journeys intersect and connect, and where they begin to see themselves as a family of support for each other and love, and where they begin to see themselves as a family, it makes a big difference in the singing. So I spend time not only with the songs, but with the people who are singing the songs so that they know each other and that they also come to find another part of their voice. And for some people, it's finding their voice for the first time, finding the presence and power of their voices for the first time. So that's what I sort of work on, massaging that, so that when people stand together, they really are standing together. I always want the group to be part of this greater movement for human rights and social change, so that being in the chorus, no matter what we're singing, the chorus is shaped in such a way that it becomes part of the practice of social justice, just by being a community that has heard and felt each other's humanity and have come to be supportive of each other. The more we are together, the more that becomes a habit that is part of what you do when you're not singing, that you still look for other people's humanities, that you still look for ways to connect and support, that you still try to find yourself in whatever context of your work or your life, striving for that beloved community. And that's why I work so much on the people in the group, really knowing each other, hearing each other's stories. And another thing that I try to do is I focus on the words. What are we trying to say? Let that be the focus rather than how good my voice sounds. I mean, your voice is going to be there if you're able to take these words and help other people to hear it, feel it, and be present in those words, because the song is telling a story. How to get other people engaged in hearing your story and being a part of that story. That's what's important. That's what I try to focus on, groups. It's the story you're trying to tell. I know when I'm working with kids, sometimes when they're singing, I'll be saying to them, tell me the story. What? What does that mean? Who are we talking about? What did you say? Where are we going? You know, depending upon what the words are in the song. So I keep saying, or I'll say, I can't hear the story. What is the story you're trying to tell me? Tell me.
Yeah, there's an interesting mix between, first of all, the relationships between each other and the music you're creating, where they feed each other. The better the relationships, the better the music, the better the music, the better relationships.
That's right. Yeah.
Also, this sense of the words, you know, that you're not just making noise, you're telling a story. You're listening to How Can I Keep From Singing? My name is Stuart Stotts, and my guest today is Jane Sapp.
African people, we are an African people. Don't you forget it. No, 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 don't you forget it.
Jane, is there something in particular about African-American traditions of music that lends itself to group singing? I'm guessing that's certainly central to your work. How does that bear on this whole question?
a core form of traditional African American singing tradition is the leader chorus, call and response. In the call and response, it is such a profound form. And the way, especially, I think the way in which I experienced it in the African American musical tradition. What I think is important about the call and response is that one is that it gives everybody a chance to be in the leadership or in the light. The way I experienced call and response was that the leaders shifted, so I might say, whose side you leaning on? Somebody might pick that up. Someone else might say, I want to say this, well, I got a song, da, 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 da. So you come and then we answer to you, so we are all having a moment to have our voices heard, our presence felt without dominating, because it becomes then a kind of shared leadership, if you will, a shared opportunity to be out front, to be heard separately. But then you have the support of the group that answers you, So you're never alone. You are making your statement within the group. The group is supporting it by answering you. And then when you've made your statement and somebody else wants to add to that, or even may take it in another place, they can just jump in and say their say and still have the support of the group. That's what I like about the call and response. Like I said, that's how I experienced it in the church. And call and responses were often, made up. Like if somebody was praying, and they might say, oh Lord, I need your help. Background, I need your help. And then maybe that person might sing what I need your help for. Somebody else might jump in and say, and then I need to see that now we're going to support you in what you're calling out for. You can have leadership without having domination, without having someone overpower, run away from the group, or just, feel as if they have to overshadow. I always say the call and response to me is both a musical form, but also a social form and a political form. It's like, let's live like this,
It has this sense of improvisation and responding to the moment. So you're not singing off a set piece of paper.
Right.
You're responding. You say something, I respond, and there's a real communal and potentially political, but certainly, again, relationship based.
Right. Exactly. I love the call and response form.
I think the call and response, but also the kind of the zipper song, which is like the call and response, where you've got a form, like "We Shall Overcome" would be one example.
Yeah.
Where you've got this form, but then people can put in their own stuff. It's not quite as improvisational, but it still is a response to the moment in which people are creating something.
Right.
I'm wondering, when you go to work with a group, are there certain songs that are real fallbacks for you that are going to work well, sort of the favorites that someone else might also be able to use in a group singing kind of situation?
Yeah, interestingly enough, one of my favorite go-tos is This'll Light of Mine. People think, some people do, it's a children's song, but I don't, so I always go to This'll Light of Mine because it's what I feel we're doing. Part of what we're doing when we're singing is that we are, that's our light we're putting. And everybody knows it. So it's easy to kind of get it started, and then I can bring all of the other touches and improvisational stuff to it. But it's a good kind of solid, for me, go-to song.
It is a great song. I love that song. I've sung it many times, and it is a real go-to song that way.
Oh yeah. And you can have so many different arrangements of it. too. So I go to This Little Light of Mine. Recently with kids, I've been going to a song that Rose Sanders from Selma wrote. I don't know if you know it. There's a river flowing in my soul. It's just one of those songs that's very easy to learn, but very powerful and moving when people sing it.
Can you sing just a little bit of it?
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. So I love doing that. One is a good go-to song for me. I also really like doing a gospel song that's called Fill My Cup. I did an arrangement of it. When I say I did an arrangement, it's like I do it and then I just, people take it, do whatever you want, but here are the basic parts. But basically, the song says, fill my cup, let it overflow with love. First, you want to, do a song that's going to hit people, that they're not going to be trying to figure out the tune and the flow of the melody, but that the words will hit them and they'll fully commit then to trying to learn the rest of it.
James, I have a quick question for you. My friend Tom Pease worked with you a long time ago, but he mentioned a song that he learned from you that he couldn't quite remember, and I'm wondering if it rings a bell. It's something about, I want to live in a building not made by hand.
An old spiritual. I've got a building never made by hand. I've got a building never made by hand. Never made with hammer, neither nail. Never made by hand. Never made with hammer, neither nail. Never made by hand.
Jane, thank you for doing that. And my friend Tom will love hearing that as well. Jane, thank you so much for talking with me here today. I've enjoyed our conversation so much, and I appreciate the work you've done and continue to do to bring music and these musical traditions to adults and kids alike. So thank you for talking with me.
All right. Thank you.
I'll be looking for you on that train. On that train. I'll be looking for you on that train. On that train. I'll be looking for you on that train. I'm going home on the morning train.
You've been listening to How Can I Keep From Singing, a production of Common Arts. My name is Stuart Stotts, and my guest today was Jane Sapp.